Can the Oklahoma Sooners land the five-star defensive lineman Williams Nwaneri out of Lee Summit, Missouri? And I kind of want to talk to you about what Missouri means to Oklahoma and kind of what it should mean, especially with the upcoming recruiting cycles and the players that will be coming out of these states. It's imperative that Oklahoma can create some traction, maybe a little bit more traction than what they've been able to gain on the recruiting trail in the state of Missouri. But guys, before we go ahead and jump into it and we dive into it, go ahead, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. What do you guys think about Williams Nwaneri? Because I'm going to give you my thoughts, my prediction, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you think Williams Nwaneri ultimately ends up being an Oklahoma Sooner? Of course, under the assumption playing with the one and only David Stone. But let's go ahead and dive into it. Williams Nwaneri, probably one of the, if not the second most talked about prospect for Oklahoma in the 2024 recruiting cycle. And rightfully so, because Williams Nwaneri is the number 3 overall player according to the 247 composite rankings and the number 1 defensive lineman in this class. And he's wanted by pretty much the most elite of the elite schools. You're looking at the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Oregons, the Tennessees, and then, of course, you've got his own in-state college, the Missouri Tigers, getting an official visit and definitely trying to get in this recruitment early, but we don't really expect Missouri to win the talents of Williams Nwaneri. However, a couple weeks ago, Oklahoma fans were given a scare because Williams Nwaneri took a visit to the University of Georgia. And although it seemed like Williams Nwaneri really wanted to keep this visit low-key, it definitely got out there. And now Oklahoma fans, definitely fans around the country, following the 2024 recruiting cycle, are asking themselves, do the Georgia Bulldogs and Kirby Smart have that good of a shot to land the 5-star defensive lineman? Who, by the way, if you're following this recruitment, you've kind of heard that Williams Nwaneri might be looking to shut it down here sometime mid-July to early August. And for any school to get the recruitment of Williams Nwaneri that early, you feel pretty good about those chances. And if you're Oregon, you're kind of wondering, do we need to keep that OV in the regular season with the game against Colorado, or do we need to try to get him on campus before then? The interesting thing is we're in a dead period right now for the month of July, meaning coaches can't contact him. Williams Nwaneri can't be on campus. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one and try to see exactly, does that official visit with Oregon still stick in the regular season, or was it there to kind of throw people off about his recruitment? But ultimately, Oklahoma, Miguel, Chavis, Todd Bates, Brent Venables, they are all targeting Williams Nwaneri hard, and rightfully so. Now, to be honest, my opinion, I still think Williams Nwaneri will be a part of the Oklahoma's 2024 recruiting class, and that's just because it seems like from what you're hearing across the industry, whether it's from Parker Thune or the guys over at 247, that Williams Nwaneri's relationship with Miguel Chavis and Todd Bates is just unmatched. And that's something that the staff has done really well, building relationships, making it hard on those players to say, I don't want to come to the University of Oklahoma because the relationship is just so strong. And I definitely think Oklahoma can go out there and win this battle. And if you put out a lineup of a Nigel Smith, a Jaden Jackson, a David Stone, and a Williams Nwaneri for your interior defensive line in 2024, you feel really good about the direction of where this defensive line is going, especially potentially of what's coming out of Lee Summit North. And that's kind of what we're going to dive into next. And Lee Summit North is coached by Jamar Mosey, who is an Oklahoma legacy guy. And yes, the father of Isaiah Mosey, the 4-star wide receiver out of Lee Summit North. And you feel like Oklahoma is in a good enough spot here to go out here and land more recruits out of the Lee Summit area. Now, in 2023, Oklahoma made their mark in the state of Missouri by landing the number 1 overall player, the number 2 defensive lineman in that class, and the number 11 overall player in the 247 composite ranking. And that was PJ Adebayor, the 6'4", 240-pound edge rusher. But they also went out there and landed the number 3 player in the state and the number 10 overall offensive tackle and a top 100 player in Kaden Green, who if you followed anything when it comes to these camps and practices that have been going on for Oklahoma, Kaden Green has actually kind of been doing pretty well at the left tackle position. And so if for some reason Oklahoma has a need for him there this season because of an injury or whatever, Oklahoma is going to be in the driver's seat to put Kaden Green out there. But Kaden Green is going to be a special player for Oklahoma. Now, although those are just two guys that Oklahoma got in 2023, and you missed out on the running back Jeremiah Love, and you didn't get the cornerback or the edge rusher, or you didn't even get Edric Hill, the defensive lineman, 6'3", 290-pound out of North Kansas City from Kansas City, Missouri. You didn't land him because you were prioritizing other targets, which is fine, but Oklahoma is definitely going to make it a little bit more of a priority to land guys like that closer to home because they're going to be easier. That's just how it is. In the state of Texas, it's a little bit harder because everybody recruits the state of Texas. You've got all those Texas schools. But in the state of Missouri or the state of Kansas, Oklahoma should be able to pretty much come in and grab whoever they want. But ultimately, they lost Edric Hill to Alabama, like I said, prioritizing another player. But in 2024, the Sooners actually not only could potentially look at Williams Nwaneri on the defensive line from Lee Summit North, but if they absolutely needed another wide receiver, they could go after 3-star wide receiver David Dossett. Yes, you've heard me. There is another ranked player in the 247 composite rankings from Lee Summit North in the 2024 class. You're just not hearing a lot about him because Oklahoma's not chasing the kid. But you never know. It's recruiting. Things can change. But right now, doesn't look like he'll be on the roster. But in 2025, Oklahoma has the ability to go in there and clean up in Lee Summit North. One, with the 4-star wide receiver Isaiah Mosey, who at one point was a 5-star, and a lot of people believe is a 5-star talent, and is the son of Jamar Mosey. So the expectations is this kid will be a Sooner. Then additionally, you have the 3-star linebacker, Chase Pearsall, right? He's been here, Oklahoma. Maybe Oklahoma can get another linebacker and continue to reach their roots down into the Lee Summit North kids and continue to pull guys out of there. Because here's the deal. It looks like Lee Summit North is continue at least going to be able to put top 100 guys into these recruiting classes, and to be important for Oklahoma to be able to continue to manage and leverage those relationships as much as possible. But then additionally, you've got the defensive lineman, Komori Moore, the 6'1", 295-pound kid, and you've seen him at camps. Komori Moore is just that good. And Komori Moore is a guy that I think if Oklahoma could go out there and land, honestly, probably could be a staple to this class for the University of Oklahoma, where you're going to need to be continuing to build as you go into the SEC. Komori Moore, a guy from Lee Summit North, this is something we got to talk about because when Oklahoma goes to the SEC, they'll be playing Missouri. So you're going to have an opportunity to sell to these players and sell to these parents that, yes, you will be able to watch your kid. You will be able to watch your kid play here. And I think that's something that I think will resonate a lot as Oklahoma continues to hit the recruiting trail in the state of Missouri, but also with Lee Summit North. Now, additionally, you look at some of the other 2025 targets that Oklahoma could go after. And I say 2025 because 2024 at this point, if Oklahoma's not looking at them, I don't think Oklahoma is going to get them. You missed out on Jaden Riddell, the 4-star tight end, top 50 player who ended up going to Georgia. You're probably going to miss out on the 5-star wide receiver, Ryan Wingo, who actually has a crystal ball from Steve Wiltfong to end up at the University of Texas, but that's something we'll talk about in a later video. You're not going to get Jeremiah McCullen, the guy, the 4-star wide receiver that will probably end up at Ohio State. It's got crystal balls to flow in there. You're missing out on Andrew Sprague, the 4-star offensive tackle going to Michigan, or Kellen Lindstrom, the 4-star defensive lineman currently committed to Tennessee. You still have Jayshon Ross on the table. And I know you've heard some things about Jayshon Ross potentially not being in this class. Listen, if for some reason things fall through with Azina Yumio Azulu or somebody like that, maybe Jayshon Ross is still a take from Liberty North in Kansas City, Missouri. Someone you want to keep your eyes on, definitely was really pro OU. It's kind of slowed down a little bit. Looks like Nebraska might be chasing here a little bit, but also kind of hearing that Tennessee and Josh Heupel, they're really moving in this recruitment as well. So Oklahoma in 2024, although they might not go land, 3-4 guys, they're still probably going to get the top and the best prospect out of the state of Missouri, which is important. But in 2025, you've got several guys that Oklahoma realistically could go after. Not only just Isaiah Mosey and Komori Moore and the other linebacker, but you got De'Ara Hill, a 5'11", 175-pound wide receiver, currently a 4-star, top 64 player in the country in the 247 composite rankings. Now, I know it's a little premature, right? These rankings for 2025 are premature, but that's how we're going to look at it for now. Additionally, you could go after Jamarian Parker, the 6', 185-pound linebacker, if you need it. But important enough, again, we've talked about building in the trenches for Oklahoma. There is a 4-star offensive tackle, 6'5", 305 pounds, Taryn Hedrick out of Columbia, Missouri, currently ranked 290 in the country. But Oklahoma definitely will continue to be able to look to build at that position in other positions like the defensive line and the edge. And I believe Missouri is going to continue to pump out guys for Oklahoma just like they have in the past, and Oklahoma will be able to win those recruitments. But guys, I want to hear from you. Like I said, I think Williams Nwaneri, he's a part of this class for the University of Oklahoma. And listen, I think it's going to be some good news here in July. So, guys, go ahead, jump down in the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Do you think Williams Nwaneri will be a part of the class for the Oklahoma Sooners?